All right, here we go. Word problem. So you are actually going to be doing a whole bunch of word problems later on. We're going to do this last one together, and then I'll talk to you about the graded assignment that you're going to have a week starting, well, like, it'll be due the Friday after Thanksgiving. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. But we're going to set up our groups today, and I've got some computers. I don't know how many work. So we'll attempt to make our documents today, but we'll see what happens. So let's do this problem, and then we'll talk about how that graded assignment works, and we'll talk about what our homework is tonight. It says you sell wrapping paper as a charity fundraiser. The equation P equals negative 6x squared plus 280x minus 1200 models the total profit P as a function of the price X per roll of paper. What is the smallest amount in dollars you can charge per roll of wrapping paper to make a profit of $1,500? All right. So you've done this fundraiser in years past. Somebody who is a volunteer for your organization is a math teacher or closet statistician, and so they've run the regression on what tends to happen to figure out how you can maximize your profits, right? And they've got this formula. So the formula is based on old data, and you're trying to figure out how can we use this to try to get the most out of doing this fundraiser. All right. So we want to make a profit of $1,500. What do we do with that $1,500? Sub it in for P, right? We do a substitution. We're saying we specifically want to know how to maximize the scenario if we need $1,500, right? Maybe we have a savings goal. We're doing this fundraiser for a purpose. We need this much money. Okay, so we're going to start by putting in 1,500 for P and rewriting the problem. But we know we're going to use the quadratic formula to solve, so we know we can't leave it there. What do we have to do now? We have to not move, but subtract, right? We're going to subtract 1,500 from each side. So we have 0 equals negative 6x squared plus 280x minus 2,700. All right. So we've got some big numbers. We're glad we have a calculator. We might look at this, though, and notice all those numbers are what kind of numbers? What kind of numbers are all of those? Are they all multiples of 3? I don't think so. They are all what? Even numbers, right? Multiples of 2. So I could, right off the top, I could reduce this equation, makes the number slightly smaller. Is that 1350? I think that it is. Still doesn't make them super small. So if you missed that, the fact that it could be reduced, you probably aren't missing out on too much because you'd still want a calculator to do this problem. Does that make sense to everybody? But sometimes noticing that an equation can be reduced does take a problem from like needing a calculator to being able to be done in your head. So sometimes it's really worth noticing something like that. All right. So it says, what is the smallest amount in dollars you can charge per roll of wrapping paper to make a profit of $1,500? Okay. So I need to know which x values can result in a y value of 0, right? I need to solve this equation, which things are possible. So we're going to use our quadratic formula. So I have x equals, what's the opposite of b? Negative 140. Plus or minus the square root of. Okay, I'm not going to do the discriminant on the side because I'm instead going to teach you how to use your calculator in an efficient way with the whole formula. Because there's no plus or minus button on your calculator, like that's not a thing, okay? So what's going to go in here? I have b squared. What's b? 140. So I'm going to type 140 squared minus 4 times, what's a? Negative 3 times c? Negative 1350. And then this whole thing is divided by 2 times, what was a again? Negative 3. So notice I didn't try to do any of that arithmetic in my head. I just wrote it down because I actually find that the number one place that people have problems is not with not understanding what to do, but doing too much of the arithmetic in their head like all at once. They make some silly mistake right here, and then the whole problem's wrong. So sometimes it's just best to actually just substitute and not try to do too many things at the same time, especially if you're going to use your calculator anyway. So I'm going to open my calculator so I can show you how to use the calculator efficiently for this. All right, so in our calculator, we're going to make good use of the alpha y equals to get the fraction, and we're just going to grab a fraction and dump it on our screen. I don't know where mine went. Oh, it already thinks I've made a mistake. That's fun. So let's clear and try again. Alpha y equals, enter. All right, everybody got a fraction? Okay. So first we're going to do the plus, right? Because it's plus or minus. We're going to do plus first. So we're going to type in negative 140 plus the square root of 140 squared minus 4 times negative 3 times negative 1350. You could use parentheses instead of time signs if you just like that better. And then we're going to go down in the denominator and we're going to do 2 times negative 3. So I literally typed in exactly what I wrote on my paper, so there's no like human error of like trying to do stuff in my head and being silly and being crazy. Then we're going to hit enter, and poof, we're going to get an answer. So on our paper, we write x is approximately equal to 13.62. Is everybody cool with that? Yes or no? Yes? All right. Now, here's where the efficient calculator use comes in. Arrow up until you are on that whole big formula. Is everybody there? Yeah? Hit enter. It's going to retype that whole formula for you. Y'all see that? Yeah? So now go into your formula. I did back arrow, and then I'm going to do up arrow. You're going to have to back arrow all the way on to where that plus sign is. And on the plus sign, type a minus sign. Make sure it's a minus and not a negative. Notice now you didn't need to retype any of that. All you had to do was change that one sign. You hit enter again, and it calculates the other value for you. And we're going to write down 33.05 as the approximate value there. Are we okay with the calculator? Yes, we're good? All right, we're going to go back and make sure we're giving the answer. It says, what is the smallest amount in dollars you can charge per roll of wrapping paper to make a profit of this much? So we got two possibilities. There are two different prices. Either we can sell a lot of wrapping paper at $13.62 or a little bit of wrapping paper at $33.05. Either way, we'll make the profit we're hoping for. Does that make sense? Yes? So if we want to charge the least amount, maybe we have a lot of wrapping paper and we'd really like to get rid of it, right? So we want to charge the least amount so we can sell the most rolls. How much are we going to charge? $13.62. That's going to be our price this year. Are we okay? It's still some pretty pricey wrapping paper. That's fundraiser wrapping paper prices. It's always totally more than it needs to be. Everybody good? All right.